The Golden Knights won again on Saturday, but lost goalie Malcolm Subban to an injury in the third period. Vegas head coach Gerard Gallant, as is often the case immediately following a game in which an injury occurs, didn't have an update on Subban's condition. He called it a lower body injury, and said he would know more by Sunday. However, John Shannon of Sportsnet, citing a team source, reported that Subban will undergo an MRI on Sunday and is probably out weeks. That isn't good news at all for a Vegas team already without Marc-Andre Fleury, who is still on injured reserve after suffering a concussion. The 23-year-old Subban, who was picked off waivers by Vegas following his training camp with the Bruins, had a promising start to the season since joining the Golden Knights. Since the injury to Fleury, Subban has played in 3 games, winning 2 of those and allowing 6 goals on 94 shots against. He allowed only 1 goal on 38 shots last night before leaving the game. Oscar Dansk came off the bench last night when Subban was hurt, and stopped 10 of 11 shots faced as the Golden Knights picked up the overtime victory, despite getting outshot 4,922. But any lengthy injury to Subban would really test the depth of the Golden Knights' goaltending. Fleury has already been out for just over a week. The 23-year-old Dansk made his NHL debut last night, and Vegas doesn't have Calvin Pickard anymore, after he was traded to Toronto a few weeks ago. Maxime Lagacé is still down with the All-Chicago Wolves. Cam Tucker is a writer for Pro Hockey Talk on NBC Sports. Drop him a line at pitblog@nbcsports.com or follow him on Twitter at CamTuckerSport. The Vegas Golden Knights confirmed today's fearful report. Malcolm Subban is expected to miss about a month thanks to a lower body injury suffered during another Golden Knights upset 32 in OT versus the Blues on Saturday night. It makes for a dizzying run of turnover in the Cinderella expansion team's net. Calvin Pickard went to the Toronto Maple Leafs as the odd man out, Subban is headed to IR, and Marc-Andre Fleury is sidelined with another concussion. The spotlight then turns to Oscar Dansk, the 23-year-old goalie who stopped 10 of 11 shots against St. Louis when Subban went down with that injury. Golden Knights GM George McPhee said the predictable, right things regarding Dansk and the situation: injuries provide opportunities for others, and that is the situation we have here, McPhee said. Our top 2 goaltenders are currently sidelined, so we will now give our all goalies the chance to play in their absence. We felt Oscar Dansk performed well in relief on Saturday in his NHL debut. In a way, Dansk feels like a lower-level version of Subban. While Subban is a struggling former first-rounder, Dansk was the second-round version. The Columbus Blue Jackets made him the 31st pick of the 2012 NHL draft. Hey, the 31st pick is now a first-rounder thanks to the Golden Knights, so there's that. Dansk hasn't been setting the hockey world on fire at other levels, but maybe that makes him an interesting fit for this weird situation, as the Golden Knights continue to defy odds and puck gravity during a 610 start. What to expect while the Chicago Blackhawks boast the sort of firepower that could make for an unpleasant introduction for Dansk. At least the Golden Knights still have a few games remaining on their first ever homestand: Tuesday, October 24th versus Chicago, Friday, October 27th versus Colorado, Monday, October 30th. At NY Islanders, Tuesday, October 31st at NY Rangers. That back-to-back to end the month could be Halloween scary, but at least Vegas has some time to prepare. The losses are likely to come starting on October 30th, as they face a 6-game road trip and 8 of 9 games away from home. That's challenging. No expansion disclaimers needed. How they've been playing. Some wonder if the Golden Knights should loosen their defensive logjam by trading for a netminder. Rather than wading too deep into that discussion, this seems like a reasonable time to look at the Golden Knights' 7 games and 6 wins in. One thing that stands out is Vegas' penalty kill. They've been almost perfect if you exclude a rough showing in their overtime win against the Sabres. Buffalo went 3 for 5 in that game. Aside from that, they've only allowed 1 power play goal. They've also only hit the penalty box 3 or 4 times most nights, with one night with just 1 trip and the 5 opportunities for the Sabres standing as the outliers. The Golden Knights should expect more struggles in both regards, at least at times, this season. Maybe this long run of home ice advantage and their expansion status helped avoid most whistles. Perhaps Gerard Gallant has them playing extra smart so far. The shot counts have been pretty reasonable in 5 of 7 games. They've only been heavily outshot twice so far. Their first game, 46 shots on goal for Dallas, 30 for them in this past one versus the Blues, 49 for St. Louis, 22 for Vegas. That's surprisingly competent stuff. With any team enjoying success, close games can be a red flag, especially if there are OT wins. Vegas has 3 wins in overtime and 1 other own goal win. Their 31 win against Boston included an empty netter. This isn't to dismiss those wins, but sometimes close games are more like coin flips, and some of those will start going against the Golden Knights eventually. The Golden Knights are a top 10 team in two luck-leaning categories, PDO and shooting percentage. That said, they're not the top team in either spot, so it's not outrageous to give them some credit. Through some intriguing combination of competence and beginner's luck, the Golden Knights are off to a shockingly good start. It's one thing to lose one goalie, but seeing both go down is brutal for any squad, let alone an expansion team. The Golden Knights have every excuse to start to fade, and we're likely to see slippage even at full strength. Even so, credit this team for being far better than anyone expected, and this hungry bunch will at least be able to point to doubtful bits like these if they need some us against the world motivation. James O'Brien is a writer for Pro Hockey Talk on NBC Sports. Drop him a line at pitblog@nbcsports.com or follow him on Twitter at CycleLikeSettings. More from NHL on NBC Sports. The modern NHL is no stranger to star players missing extended stretches because of injuries, opening the door for what-if frustrations. As glorious as the last couple years have been for Sidney Crosby, the threat of another concussion looms like Michael Myers in the bushes. Connor McDavid lost half of his rookie season. Carey Price has already dealt with serious issues of his own. Still, you can forgive Steven Stamkos and Tampa Bay Lightning fans for being especially miffed over the years, as his issues have bordered on the freakish. Stamkos has dealt with blood clots, his most recent right knee injury that required surgery, and broke his tibia after taking this bad luck spill in 2013. Even about 4 years later, it's still unsettling to watch Stamkos rapidly become aware of how bad his injury was. Stamkos has missed playoff time and saw at least 2 seasons short-circuited by injuries, as he only played in 17 games in 201,617 and 37 in 201,314. Heading into the season, it was reasonable to try to limit expectations. Most athletes struggle in the first year after significant surgeries. Maybe Stamkos will hit a wall at some point, but so far, he's enjoyed the best start of his career, riding shotgun with budding superstar Nikita Kucherov. It almost seems fitting, then, that Stamkos scored his 600th regular season point during the Lightning's 7-1 beatdown of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Even so, it's resounding that, with all Stamkos has been through, he's at that level at 27, and he's done so in 595 games. Impressive. With this incredible head start of 18 points in 9 games, a healthy Stamkos might match or exceed the work he did during his best days earlier in his career. Note how dominant he was from his 2nd through 4th seasons. While Stamkos managed 29 goals and 57 points in the lockout-shortened 20,122,013 season, his 5th 200,910 51 goals, 95 points 201,011 45 goals, 91 points 201,112 60 goals, 97 points. The other eye-popping stat from that run: he played in all 82 regular season games in each of those 3 campaigns. For some perspective, during the stretch of 200,910 to 201,112, Stamkos' 283 points ranked 2nd in the NHL, with only Henrik Sedin's 287 ranking higher. His 156 goals easily led all players for that 3-year stretch. If that's not enough to make you wonder where a healthy Stamkos might rank among the NHL's upper echelon, consider this: from his sophomore 200,910 season through today, he's 3rd in points per game among players who've played in at least 200, slightly edging Patrick Kane 1.06. As you can see, Stamkos ranks among 6 active players who've averaged at least 1 point per game since 200,910. Chances are, Stamkos will cool off, mainly because, as great as Kucherov is, he'll settle down a bit too. The Russian winger currently boasts a 29.4 shooting percentage, nearly doubling his already impressive career average of 15.1%. Still, it's plausible that Stamkos could enjoy one of the best seasons of his career, and the interesting wrinkle might be that the stupendous sniper may serve as something of a facilitator. He currently has 3 goals versus 15 assists. Now, don't forget that Kucherov has been the catalyst for this burst, even if Stamkos makes this one of the NHL's most scintillating symbiotic relationships. Hitting the 600-point milestone is merely a friendly reminder that Stamkos shouldn't get lost in the elite conversation, and that hockey fans should be very, very happy to have him around. Just stay a while this time, Stamkos. We like seeing you. Many stats via the wonderful resource that is Hockey Reference. James O'Brien is a writer for Pro Hockey Talk on NBC Sports. Drop him a line at pitblog@nbcsports.com or follow him on Twitter at CycleLikeSettings. More from NHL on NBC Sports. Sometimes you need to zoom out from a shaky move and appreciate the bigger picture. Mike Babcock nailed it when he described the Toronto Maple Leafs, at least at times, as dumb and fun. The Leafs currently lead the NHL with 37 goals, one more than the red-hot Tampa Bay Lightning, despite Toronto playing one fewer game. Still, these young buds also must raise Babcock's blood pressure at times with their double-edged sword style. Credit Babcock, then, with mostly embracing what makes this team tick. More rigid coaches would strain against such designs, almost certainly lowering the Maple Leafs' ceiling in the process. The Maple Leafs raised some eyebrows on Sunday by handing slow-footed, limited veteran defenseman Roman Polak a one-year, $1.1 million contract. Actually, it might be more accurate to say that the Maple Leafs slumped some shoulders. None of these Twitter reactions are really off base. Honestly, there are probably 4 defenders on the Marlies better than Polak right now. Head in a Jared at Jared if London October 22, 2017. Polak is bad. You don't need to overanalyze this. Kemi at Felix Botvin October 22, 2017. Here are the worst defensemen in the NHL by goals above replacement in 201,617. It also happens to be Roman Polak's list of comparables. Pic.twitter.com 7D3 Raft, Sean Tierney at Charting Hockey October 22, 2017. Polak, 31, simply isn't an ideal fit for the modern NHL, and the Maple Leafs are very much embracing the fast, attacking style that's delightfully coming in vogue. Here's a working theory, though even the best coaches at least right now have their guys. Their guys are often well-traveled, gritty types. Some only help teams in minimal ways while taking spots from prospects who might eventually be able to make bigger impacts. Others are even worse, actively hurting their teams whenever they get on the ice while taking spots. New York Rangers fans are currently having Tanner Glass flashbacks. Every GM in the NHL should limit the number of guys available to a coach. Otherwise, they're echoing It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia by holding an intervention at a bar. By this analogy, Nazem Kadri is definitely wine in a can. Allow a hypothesis with some injuries surfacing and the Maple Leafs generally playing well, and roaming free. Signing Polak stands as something of a reward for Babcock's patience. It's not great, and here's hoping that Polak doesn't take meaningful ice time away from better defensemen. There are some discouraging worst-case scenarios where Polak is used as a shutdown guy who really only shuts down the Leafs' ability to counterpunch. Ideally, Polak is used in a limited role and Toronto remains one of the most dazzling, heart-stopping, and successful teams in the NHL. That would make everyone happy except the Maple Leafs' opponents. James O'Brien is a writer for Pro Hockey Talk on NBC Sports. Drop him a line at pitblog@nbcsports.com or follow him on Twitter at CycleLikeSettings. More from NHL on NBC Sports. It's not right to celebrate the injury of Andrew MacDonald, but it's fair for Philadelphia Flyers fans to at least consider the silver linings. The oft-criticized defenseman, who was booed during warm-ups during the Flyers' season opener, is expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks after blocking a shot by Edmonton Oilers forward Mark Letestu during Philly's eventual win on Saturday. MacDonald, 31, tried to fight through the pain and even briefly returned, gaining praise from teammates and coaches alike. Here's the painful-looking play that caused the injury. Flyers fans, and fans of other NHL teams, as almost all have a contract or two they'd like to give the men in black treatment to, should remember to hate the contract, not the player. If you're going to boo anyone, do so to management, as that bad deal happened right around the time Ron Hextall was transitioning to GM. It's probably not as much on Hextall, but it's not inconceivable that he gave a thumbs up, too. Anyway, with the 31-year-old on the shelf and his $5 million cap hit being abound, the Flyers should have plenty of room to call someone up, if they'd like. That's where things get interesting, as the Courier-Post's Dave Isaac ranks among those pointing out intriguing defensive prospect Samuel Morin as a potential replacement. Morin, 22, is a towering, Pronger-sized defenseman. He could slide into some of MacDonald's roles, as both are going to be counted on for their own zone work more than offense. Even in the AHL, Morin was known for stacking up penalty minutes more than points, although he's off to a higher scoring start so far this season. While MacDonald has struggled from a possession stats perspective, as Flyers fans will likely tell you, possibly loudly, he's far from alone in that regard. The team is middling in possession categories, and MacDonald doesn't look all that out of place when you consider relative stats in 201,718. It will be fascinating to see if Morin can help in that regard, and really, how he fits into the modern NHL. A defenseman his size will need to work harder to stay in position and not get burned against faster, attacking teams. With the Flyers' host of fleet-footed, scoring blue liners, Morin could serve as a nice change of pace. Isaac also points to Markalt as an option, if the Flyers feel like now isn't the time for Morin. With 3 wins in their last 4 games and a 5-game homestand wrapping up against the Anaheim Ducks on Tuesday, the Flyers have a lot of good things going. As promising as the present can be at times, it's still the future that makes this group most tantalizing. Perhaps we'll get a glimpse at how Morin might fit into the puzzle. Then James O'Brien is a writer for Pro Hockey Tack on NBC Sports. Drop him a line at pitblog@nbcsports.com or follow him on Twitter at CycleLikeSettings. More from NHL on NBC Sports.